What's up, fam? It's the Broke Capitalist coming at you with some breaking news. Just because you have money doesn't mean you have any sense. Unfortunately, the guy on the screen here, besides myself, has a lot of money, but doesn't have any sense. He's a genius in his domain of music. And he's a genius in cashing in the currency of fame for dollars, right? Just like if you're a genius in the stock market, you buy stock, you can't take that stock certificate to, Walmart. You got to cash it in for dollars, right? So Kanye is a genius in cashing in his fame for currency. Unfortunately for everybody, Kanye is spouting some collectivist views that are, the colloquial term for collectivist views, or a form of collectivism. Collectivism is racism, right? But the left has ingeniously tried to, they ain't slip it past this one, redefine the definition of racism. But I'm gonna borrow from Ayn Rand, her definition of racism, and it'll really make sense. But what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna give you the definition for racism from Ayn Rand. We're gonna talk about how Kanye's generation, which I include myself and people under him, have come to look at the world through such a racist lens. Who's responsible for this? And we'll do the Tim Pool, the individualist versus Kanye, the collectivist, and see their viewpoint. It's going to be played out brilliantly on the show here. So let's get to some definitions here. Not this, but this. Okay. I'm not going to read the whole definition on it, but it's just enough to make sense. All right. Racism is the lowest, most crudely primitive form of collectivism. It is the notion of ascribing moral, social, or political significance to a man's genetic lineage, right? The black vote, the white vote, the Jewish vote, right? Okay. The notion that a man's intellectual and characterological traits are produced and transmitted by his internal body chemistry, which means in practice that a man is to be judged not by his character and actions, but by the characters and actions of a collective of ancestors, the whites, the blacks, the Jews, the Asians, the Native Americans, right? Racism claims that the content of a man's mind, not his cognitive apparatus, but content, is inherited. That a man's convictions, values, and character are determined before he is born by physical factors beyond his control. So just because I was born black, I am supposed to think a certain way. I'm supposed to have certain values. Just because I'm Jewish, I'm supposed to think a certain way. I'm supposed to have certain values. Just because I'm white, I'm supposed to, you get it, right? This is the caveman's version of the doctrine of innate ideas or of inherited knowledge, which has been thoroughly refuted by philosophy and science. Racism is a doctrine of, by, and for groups. It is a barnyard or stockyard version of collectivism. All right, I'm gonna stop the reading there. with this in mind, just think about what Kanye has been saying and what a lot of racist people have been saying. Oh, you can't be a racist because Black people can't be racist because they don't have any power. Excuse me, that's BS to the nth degree. You don't need power to be a racist. I went to school. How many Black people, if you're Black and you see this, how many Klansmen were outside of your school demanding that you not read, you don't write, and don't learn math? Klansmen, what power do they have? What institutional power do the Klansmen have? Oh, we don't know. They're behind the shadows. Well, I don't know one Klansman behind the shadows or up front that has as much money as Kanye West had last month or today. Right? So that's a BS leftist trick to try and get regular people to feel sorry for that group of people, right? Who look like me. Oh, he didn't get far in life because of racism. Well, maybe I didn't get far in life because I didn't pay attention in school. Or maybe I didn't get far in life because of my parents' planning or lack thereof. Maybe I didn't get far in life because I chose to party instead of study. I don't remember a Klansman buying me alcohol at the store when I was 18, going to college. I missed that, right? But anyway, we have to take back the definition of racism. You don't need power to be a racist. Ironically, we're talking to a billionaire who's a racist. So Kanye is covering both definitions. He employs a lot of people. Do you think he's going to employ somebody who's openly Jewish? If that's even a term, openly Jewish, I don't know. Right? So he's a racist with power. And instead of, which the media would do for clickbait and all that stuff, berate him, denounce him, I'll let other people do that. But I want to try and explain to you why Kanye and a lot of people like Kanye view the world in such a racist, through such racist lenses. Now, we all know Kanye's mom, God rest her soul, was an educator. And what does that have to do with what's on this page? Well, I'm not putting anything on his mom. I'm just going to connect the time period. Kanye's mom was an adult and most likely an educator when this was written, okay? And so we're going to go, I'm not going to read the whole thing. The book is called The Future Once Happened Here. Go get it. It's amazing. So I'm going to start here. So the ATA in this is the African American Teachers Association out of New York, right? And the assumption I'm making, because I wasn't there, they're talking about something that happened in 1968. I wasn't born yet. But a lot of African American teachers associations throughout America, including Detroit, took on, it only makes sense that they took on this philosophy, this ideology. And here I'll just start with, they insisted that racial cultures were so separate that only Black teachers could teach Black children effectively. This wasn't written last year with all this woke stuff. This is a conversation that happened in 1968. Right? So individualism and personal merit, the ATA argued, was a myth perpetuated by whites to create Black versions of the white middle class or Black Anglo-Saxons. Now I wrote here, ignorance bomb. Ignorance bomb is what these people did. They always say the intentions sound great, but look at the effect. The newly emancipated, meaning the new slaves, they ran out to get educated. They didn't run to Africa to get educated. They ran to get educated in America because guess what they saw? 90% of the African Americans who were in this country were in the South and were under bondage, right? They looked at the examples of African Americans in the North who weren't in bondage, and they saw, I've done podcasts talking about how African Americans in the North during that time, their standard of living in many cases was higher than their slave masters, right? And so what's the difference between a slave in the South and a free Black man in the North? A big difference is the amount of education. So they ran out, got educated. At some point, right, I'm saying around the civil rights era, education got rejected by urban Black Americans. Somebody infiltrated these teachers' union with the social Marxist crap and disseminated it, trickle-down theory, to me and Kanye and people like us. So I'm going to keep going here, but I'm going to reread this because it's important. Individualism and personal merit, the ATA argue, was a myth perpetuated by whites to create Black versions of white middle class or Black Anglo-Saxons. The ATA called for an alternative Black value system based on principles of collective work and responsibility, aka socialism. Cooperative economics, communism, and unity. Giftedness in Black children could be measured by a willingness to challenge authority, Marxism. This is back in 68. And this, is the result. You got generations of people who were taught by people with this mindset. That's why in urban Black America, you can't read. These kids graduating can't even read. They are more ignorant than Black people in the 1920s. How is that even possible? Nope. Math is racist. That's breaking news too. Right? Now all of a sudden math is racist. Math but let's listen to Kanye and how he views the world.
Shed a tear, almost, but I still walked in stride through it. Yeah. I think they've been extremely unfair to you. Who was they though? We can't say they is, can we? Press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is them though, isn't it? I mean, because
no.
The Individualist, Mr. Tim Pool, articulates something that a lot of people miss. He said, I don't use the word they the way you use the word they. Tim when he's saying they, he's talking about individuals. There are certain individuals who have mistreated Kanye West. Those individuals decided to do certain actions that they knew or should have known would hurt Kanye West. Those individuals happen to be associated with a certain group of people, right? And this Mr. Ignorance Non Grata here is piggybacking on the way Kanye sees the world. Them, they, right? When this guy here, Fuentes, is talking about they, he's talking about the entire group of people. Like my neighbors has an agenda against Kanye West. Or even if he doesn't believe that my neighbor has an agenda against Kanye West, he believes that they don't mind if someone in the group they're associated with has an agenda against Kanye West. Kanye West and people like my generation, this isn't limited to African American community. This is America, but it's more prevalent in the African American community because guess what? We had an African American Teachers Association teaching us this BS, right? Now that BS is woke. It's called woke now, and it's assimilated out into the broader United States, and that's why we have what we have today. And if you think it's a problem now, wait till your children grow up, right? So here's a very small but important example of racism, what real racism is. You have a Black billionaire who views the world through a racist lens. I got mistreated, and I believe he was mistreated by people, and that those people happen to belong to a certain group. Now, flip that. What if you had Kid Rock come on Timcast and say, you know what? I had my Cadillac stolen, and this Black guy from Detroit stole it. You know what? I had this Black guy robbed me when I was downtown Detroit. You know what? I got mugged by this Black guy when I was in Southfield, Michigan. You know what? I took this girl out for drinks who happened to be Black, and next thing I know, I get roofied and all my money is stolen. Now, if Kid Rock says the Blacks are out to get me, you might say, well, damn. I don't know if all Black people are out to get him, but damn, he having bad luck with Blacks. But that would be a firestorm. Kid Rock, we know it, he's the biggest racist of all time, blah, 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 blah. But guess what Kanye's doing? He's hiding behind the shield of this new definition of racism. You can't call him racist because he's Black. That's BS. Now, I'll say this, and I'll end it here. There are evil people within groups. And these evil people realize something other people in the group don't realize. That being in that group and associated with that group, especially if it's a minority, gives you cover, gives you a shield. And in this case, I believe there are some evil people within the group of the Jewish community. And they get to do evil. And they get to hide behind the shield of anti-Semitism. These people have nothing to do with being Jewish. They probably never go to a synagogue. They probably never pray, right? They take advantage of the holidays just like I do, right? It has nothing to do with them being Jewish. They just happen to be Jewish. They commit evil deeds, and when you come to confront them, you're an anti-Semite. Guess what? You have Black people who, within the Black community, who do evil, in my opinion. I can name a few reverends. And if you question them, guess what they do? They hide behind the shield of racism. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, you questioning my policies? You're a racist. Right? You have men in a group of men who do evil. And they hide behind what? Would it be misogyny? Or do I have that? Do I have the opposite of that or whatever? But hopefully you get my analogy anyway, even if it was a bad one. But with that, I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to ask you to support the channel by clicking the like and subscribe button. Also, support non-woke content like this. I just released another book. This is a pamphlet. It's really brief, real thin, but it's enough historical facts here with pictures to make a great conversation starter. Here's a picture of I don't know if you can see that. Of course, you can't see it. I'm trying to do something here. All right. It's a picture of blacks going to vote. Come on, man. Going to vote. Sorry, y'all. Can't get it. Voting to ratify the Articles of Confederation way back in the day. Bet you didn't know that. But anyway, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Peace. I'm out.